I've just finished Poppy's Playtime Chapter 3, and in my opinion, it is by far the best Mascot horror game that has been made in a long time. So let's get straight into my opinion on it. First of all, I want to start off with the gameplay and the graphics, because first of all, considering we waited 2 years for this game, I expected the graphics to be a lot more enhanced, and my god were they enhanced, because this game looks and feels amazing. The gameplay is super smooth. You get chucked straight into it as soon as you get put into the trash compactor, and normally with Poppy's Playtime, I've always felt that the hands have kind of been a little bit buggy every now and again when it comes to playing it. But for me in Chapter 3, the hands movements and like the grapplers have been really smooth, and I had very little bugs with it. The only bugs I had with the hands were like in the boss fight with Catnap, but other than that, I thought the gameplay was absolutely outstanding. Obviously, one of the main things with Poppy's Playtime is the puzzles. We've also had a load of puzzles in this game, a load of new puzzles, and a little bit more complicated. For me, I thought they were like pretty easy and pretty straightforward, but they were so cool. They were really intricate and did take a little bit of thinking, but you know, with that little bit of thinking, you were able to achieve them pretty easily. But in my opinion, they were a really fun way of bringing in some new puzzles in this game. And for me, I thought it was a really fun time, especially because when you have that little interval from running away from somebody, whether it be Catnap or Dog Day or the Smiling Critters, you know, it's really cool the way you go straight into these kind of more relaxing but also sort of stressful moments with the puzzles, and they're really fun, I thought. And also, let's just talk about the star of the show in this game, and that is Catnap. Catnap is beyond terrifying, especially in the Home Sweet Home section, which we will talk about in my next point. Catnap is so cool. I don't know what it is. I said on stream when I played this game is that for me, Catnap looks very different in different like aspects of this game. For example, in the boss fight, he looks extremely purple. However, when you get him coming out of the vent, he is pure bones. It's really weird because sometimes Catnap will look like an actual cat and like with the furriness of him that we see in the trailers. However, in other scenes, he will look just like bones of a corpse. It's very weird. It's very cool. It kind of messes with your head of who he actually is and what he actually looks like. Like, is he just the skull and bones that we see, and when we see him in his purple form, it's him basically just tricking us to see what we see? And it's really cool. It adds to his character, and ultimately he's a great protagonist. Although we don't see him as much as I wish, however, he is much better than Mommy Longlegs in my opinion. He's not better than Huggy Wuggy, because Huggy Wuggy is always going to be my favourite, but for me, Catnap is by far like one of the best villains I've ever seen in the Mascot horror game. Now getting on to, in my opinion, the best part of the game, and that's Home Sweet Home. This part of the game really gave me Silent Hill vibes. I mean, when you get into this, it's really scary, I have to admit. As soon as you open up Home Sweet Home and you're met with that long corridor, it gives me PT vibes as well. The way like everything is somewhat changing around you, it's very like, in my opinion, inspired by PT. It might not be, but in my opinion, I do get PT vibes from it. And the fact that we're met with Catnap just kind of roaming these halls, although he actually doesn't attack us, just the pure ambience is enough to have us on edge. I mean, my reactions were like little to none. I was absolutely terrified in this scene. Like, there was no way I was ever going to be calm during these hallways. And in my opinion, it's the best part of the entire game, because it actually shows how scary a Mascot horror game can be without actually showing anything. It's just pure ambience and setting, and that's how you make horror. Like, genuinely, it doesn't show nothing. It's just a hallway that's somewhat dark, and, you know, it's scary. It has the voice acting, it has, you know, the little ambience sounds. It's ultimately just how you make a horror scene way scarier. Ollie! Sorry? Where's the hallway I came down? No, did this place just change? And bro is chilling? He's still there, chat. And then we're ultimately met with the new tape that ultimately shows Huggy Wuggy back in the game. He looks a little different though, but this scene right here deserves its own little section, because the voice acting from this dude, whoever it is in this VHS tape, who talks directly to like basically kind of a group of people, but then it turns about 30 seconds in to where it talks directly to the player and the character who we play as it basically just says, "Why will you return? We will be waiting for you with meat, flesh, bones and teeth." as Huggy Wuggy turns into this nightmare Huggy Wuggy as he slowly crawls out of the screen, and we have a chase scene on our hands. It's so beautifully executed, this scene, because it shows that this can be such a scary game when it wants to be, and in my opinion, Chapter 3 is the scariest of all 3 of the chapters. I mean, I didn't find Chapter 2 that scary, however, there was some better horror elements than Chapter 1. Chapter 3 blows them chapters completely out of the water with this. Let me out, let me out, no, 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 let me out, 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 no, 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 no. Let me run. Nah, no way. No, I'm not turning around. I lied. No, let me out, I can't run. And moving on from onto the story of this game, the story actually develops. This is like how you make an actual story, Steelwool. Like, genuinely, we get answers to the questions we had from the original chapter. We were actually curious of what happened when the actual factory closed down. What genuinely happened to the people? What happened to the children? In this chapter, we get those answers. We see the Hour of Joy VHS tape that Poppy shows us just after we defeat Catnap. We genuinely see what happened to lead to the factory's closure. We see Huggy Wuggy just going ravage on people, Mommy Longlegs going ravage, Boxy Boo appearing in this VHS tape as well. We see the smiling critters just devour a person as about 20 million of them just slowly swarm over this one dude. And then we have Miss Delight, about 12 or 15 Miss Delights chasing one person into a room, ultimately probably killing him. We see genuinely disturbing imagery in a VHS tape. And applause to Mob Entertainment, because they took the guts to actually show some disturbing things in this game we have not seen in Mascot Horror before. I do not recall any Mascot Horror games actually showing people be killed. I can't think in my head of many things that show as disturbing imagery as Poppy's Playtime Chapter 3 does, especially in my next point, which is the Dog Day scene. We see Dog Day, who's already split in half, as he just very silently and desperately tells us that we need to get out of here, as he's actually trying to help us, until he is just ultimately consumed by about 30 smiling critters that actually crawl inside his body and crawl inside his eye hole and then just devour him, and then I think they ultimately just take over him, which leads to the Dog Day chase. Now, when in a Mascot Horror game have you seen a character who's already, basically dead, get just devoured, and we have things actually crawling within his body? We see the smiling critters outline inside his skin. We don't see that in Mascot Horror anymore, but now we actually have a production company like Mob Entertainment who has the guts to show some disturbing imagery that's scary, effective, and ultimately makes a horror game what it should be, and that is a horror game. This game is a horror game. There's so many Mascot horror games out there like Security Breach that counts as a horror game when it's not actually a horror game. There's no aspects of horror in there, maybe other than the endoskeletons. There's not much in there. With Poppy's Playtime, every corner, there's an aspect in the back of your head like, is Catnap watching me? Is there a smiling critter in this corner just staring at me that I can't see when I have to use my flare gun when there's actually nothing there? There's always a thought in the back of your head thinking, where am I actually safe in this factory? And that's how you make a horror game. You make the player paranoid. And now we move on to the boss fight. The Catnap boss fight is amazing. It honestly is very similar to the Afton boss fight in Security Breach. However, it did take me a little bit longer than I would have liked. This boss fight actually I found pretty difficult, considering I'm not great on keyboard and mouse. So for me, I found it a little bit more difficult than I should have. But man, it took me about an hour to actually beat it when it shouldn't have. And then when I eventually beat it, man, the payoff that you get, this cutscene that you get when you beat Catnap, oh my god, it's amazing. We shoot Catnap with this electrical particle from our hand, which basically just electrocutes him, until he starts to kneel down as the prototype's hand comes from the above vent. And you're probably thinking, okay, no, the prototype's going to help him out. He's actually going to just give him a hand and drag him out of there. No, the prototype impales Catnap through his mouth and just stabs him and then drags his body up the vent. Wow, that is just, it's so unexpected for me. I was expecting Catnap to basically grab the prototype's hand as he basically worships the prototype, and basically he'll still be alive and just gonna be dragged out of there. No, the prototype just kills him. Like, it's crazy. The prototype has no chill. No chill whatsoever. And then eventually we get to see the Hour of Joy VHS tape. Now, I'm just so happy we actually got some answers, because when it came to FNAF Ruin, we got little to no answers from Security Breach other than basically Glamrock Bonnie being dead, and then ultimately what ending was canon. That's kind of all we got from Security Breach for answers. And when it came to Ruin, like, it didn't give us much answers. It kind of just gave us, you know, oh yeah, this happened. Ultimately we're going to leave you on another cliffhanger, with leave you some more questions with little to no answers. While with the Hour of Joy, we actually see some answers to the questions we had. We had the question of what actually happened. We got the answer. And then we also get some more questions as this game comes to an end. As Kissy, Missy, and Poppy show up once again as we enter this kind of like elevator particle thing. As Kissy Missy pulls the lever to send us and Poppy down this kind of hatch until we hear the Huggy Wuggy jump scare sound as Kissy Missy seems to be attacked as the game comes to a close. She's gonna die. Something's gonna kill her.
Alright. Once we hit the ground, we need to be cautious. There's something...
Huggy!
No! We're coming! Just hold on!
That was Huggy!
Come on, go faster! Missy!
I knew it! I knew she was gonna die! Oh my god, what a game! Now, first of all, this is instantly amazing, because first of all, when it comes to the Huggy Wuggy jump scare, does that mean Huggy Wuggy will be the main villain of the next game along with the prototype? Will this mean that Chapter 4 is going to be the closing chapter of this Poppy's Playtime saga? I personally think so, but ultimately, you're probably thinking, Cal, but we killed Huggy Wuggy. Not necessarily. When we play Chapter 1, 2, and 3 all together, we have Catnap, Mommy Longlegs, and Huggy Wuggy. We saw Catnap get actually killed by the prototype. We saw him be impaled. We saw Mommy Longlegs get basically shredded, and then her body was dragged by the prototype. However, Huggy Wuggy just fell from a pipe and fell into the abyss, technically not actually being shown to be dead. Yes, we see the line of Poppy saying, but we killed Huggy. Maybe that's just her thought. She was still in her box by the time we killed Huggy. Well, killed Huggy. So what if Huggy is still alive? Because that jump scare sound is Huggy Wuggy jump scare sound. That is the exact same sound. So what if Huggy Wuggy has killed Kissy Missy, and that's what we're going to get the answers to in Chapter 4. But ultimately, this game is the definition of how to make a Mascot horror game. It's scary, it's disturbing, it actually shows some very, very disturbing imagery. I know I say that a lot, but genuinely, I could not have been happier with how this game turned out. It was well worth the 2-year wait, and if you haven't played Poppy's Playtime Chapter 3, even if you know what happens, just go and play it for yourself, because regardless if you know what happens or not, that Home Sweet Home section will still make you extremely uncomfortable. I guarantee it. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of Poppy's Playtime Chapter 3 in the comments below. I personally love this game, and it's probably my favourite Mascot horror game out there at the moment. And no, I'm not just saying that because of recency bias, but ultimately I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the chapter? How does it weigh up compared to other Mascot horror games for you? Where does it rank? I'd really like to hear your opinions. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy and you like anything to do with horror, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 50k by the end of 2024. If you can help me out in any way, shape, or form, I'd really appreciate that. But thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay safe and peace. First shot of this episode. Tammy picks this house.
Oh, what about that one?
Now, if you ask me, that is the, worst house you can pick. It has wallpaper on the outside.